Hi, you guys. I hope you're having a great start to your day so far. Today I'm going to talk to you from my new book, Nourish, on taking care of our physical bodies. In the beginning, we talked a lot about taking care of the health of our soul, and that's really the foundation for this book because I believe that we're a three-part being: spirit, soul, and body. So in order to truly get healthy, we have to address all three parts. But the first part of this book is really based on getting our soul healthy. So renewing our minds, finding out who God says that we are, and changing the way that we see ourselves on the inside, which ultimately will affect what we see on the outside as well. But also in the second half of this book, I talk about practical things like taking care of our body. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about clean eating. And clean eating is something that you guys have probably heard the term. It's all over the internet. If you just type in clean eating on Google, you will find tons of recipes and ideas and thoughts behind it. What clean eating really is to me, and everybody has kind of their own version of, what exactly it means, but really if you do any search, you'll find that it really just means that there is no processed foods, no processed ingredients. It's cutting out man-made food and eating more of what I like to call God-made food. And I like to call it God-made food because these are the foods that God created for us to put in our bodies. So it's things that are clearly made by Him. If you think about fruits, vegetables, whole grains, so like old-fashioned oats is a good whole grain. Things like quinoa. I'm trying to think of just some healthier carbs. Sweet potatoes. And then if you think about things like, meats and fish, even dairy products, these are things that clearly God has created for us to enjoy and to put into our bodies. Now, if you think on the other hand about things like sugar or anything made with processed ingredients like, say, a Twinkie, we pretty much know that God didn't create that. And some people might joke and say that they're so great and delicious that God must have made them. But no, God didn't create Twinkies for us to put into our bodies. Now, that being said, there's nothing wrong with enjoying, a chocolate chip cookie from time to time. But, what I like to do and what I like to teach in Nourish and at Dashing Dish is just how can we find healthier swap outs to those things that we enjoy. So it doesn't mean you can't eat pizza ever again. It's just about finding ways to implement God-made foods into our pizza. So things like a pizza stuffed chicken breast, or even, an oat flour pizza, which I have a recipe for in my book, Nourish. So it's just about finding healthier swap outs and healthier alternatives. And really, I think if we really think about it, we overcomplicate how do we eat healthy? What are the best foods to put into my body? Should I do this diet or that diet? And, it becomes so overwhelming a lot of times. I think that is what causes the dieting cycle where, you might lose a few pounds and then eventually you fall off the bandwagon and then you gain it back and then you deal with guilt and defeat and, all of that goes into this whole cycle. And really, I think we could prevent so much of that if we just broke it down to what is simple and what is pretty obvious. So is this something that God created for me to put into my body? Is it natural? Did He create it? And if so, the great thing about it is it's going to fuel your body in the right way. So yes, apples, for example, have natural sugar in them. They do have sugar. However, it's a sugar that affects our bodies and our blood sugar, our insulin level, completely different than, say, white sugar would. And so that's how we know that even though at the end of the day, it's not about cutting out sugar completely or cutting out carbs completely, because really that's unbalanced and not really healthy. It's about finding the natural forms of sugar, the healthier forms of carbohydrates and healthy fats. And all these lean proteins, all of these things that, if we really think about it, like I said, it's pretty obvious. So that's what my view of clean eating is what I like to call God-made foods. And that just really helps break it down to what's good to put in my body and what's not so good. And the things that aren't so good, again, you can find healthy alternatives at Dashing Dish. I have thousands of them. That's one of the things I'm really passionate about, is teaching people that you can have your favorite foods just using God-made ingredients, but also having them in moderation. I've mentioned in my book and also in the past through these conversations on video that you know, it doesn't mean I don't ever eat peanut butter chocolate ice cream again. On a daily, weekly basis, I like to have healthier swap outs at home. But when it comes to, you know, having a ice cream sundae, I like to go out to eat and have a special date night with my husband, maybe once or twice a month, where we sit down and we pick our favorite ice cream, and it's not healthy at all, and I enjoy it to the full and really like sit down and take it in. And so that's like a treat, you know, a special date night thing that we do together, and it's really enjoyable and fun. So it's about putting it in the right atmosphere. We're in a good mood, we're talking, we're having fun, and it's not kept in my house so that it's all the time tempting me. And then, like I said, on a weekly basis, I don't deprive myself of the things that I enjoy. I just make healthier versions of them at home, and then that allows my body to function its best. I feel good, and that's really a huge part of it, is I feel good throughout the day, throughout the week. My energy levels are pretty stable, and I don't feel like I'm, you know, wanting to go to bed or feeling like I'm tired all the time, or bloated or lethargic. And that's what processed white flour, white sugar, unhealthy fats, that's what those ingredients really do to our body, is kind of makes us feel sluggish and run down. And if we think about it, it's kind of, like I said, pretty common sense, because God didn't create for our bodies to be fueled on those things. And so I would encourage you, if you don't know where to start, just cut out white flour and white sugar. Just cut out those two things and see how much better you feel. Also, foods made with those ingredients. And then from there, start to look at nutrition labels, start to look at ingredient lists. You know, ask yourself, what is actually in this? A lot of times preservatives, even in natural foods, might sound funny or be hard to pronounce. It doesn't mean it's totally bad. Like even lemon juice is a natural preservative, and it will have like a citrus, you know, something or other name to it. So it doesn't mean that if you can't read it, it's totally bad and wrong, but just start to ask yourself more about what is actually in this food that I'm eating, and maybe even do research if you're wondering yourself. So I hope that that helps you guys, and I hope that it encourages you in your journey to health, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. If you have any questions for me, you can definitely email them to katie@dashingdish.com, and I'll do my best to answer them. And be sure to check out my new book, Nourish. You can find it at nourishbook.com. And if you have received a copy of Nourish and it's been a blessing to you, I would love if you share it. And we also have a small group study, so a Bible study if you're looking to do one for Nourish as well. So check it out at nourishbook.com. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys.